Hey everyone and welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV, where today it is time to finish the Masked Carnival, as well as Blue Mage for A Realm Reborn. Before we get started on that though, there's a few things to go over. First off, I knew something was weird. I thought we went through, well no. I knew there were more spells in our Blue Mage spellbook that we hadn't gone over, but well, the game was saying that they weren't new, so I wasn't sure which ones we hadn't gone over. But I went back and I found all the ones we learned a few episodes ago, and wrote them all down, so that we can actually go over the ones that we didn't go over a few episodes ago. So, the other new spells we learned in that big batch. Let's see, first off, we learned number 3, Aqua Breath. The most quintessential of water-aspected blue magics, a competent mage will not only use its bubbles to smother nearby enemies, but also incorporate poison, sealing the fates of any survivors. It is a standard recast, 200 MP, deals water damage to all enemies on a cone before us with a potency of 140 for the first, and 50% less for all remaining enemies. Inflicts Dropsy, dealing water damage over time, with a potency of 20 and a duration of 12 seconds, so that is going to be 80 potency. And this is going to be what pairs with High Voltage. So Aqua Breath into High Voltage is a good and potent combo, since it increases the potency of High Voltage and also increases, doubles the length of the paralysis. Alright, next up after Aqua Breath we have number 9, Song of Torment. Favored by sirens, the Song of Torment carries in its melody a malicious enchantment. It ensnares the listener's spirit, inducing phantom pain that soon becomes physical as the body struggles to process the mind's trauma. Deals unexpected damage with a potency of 50, also deals unexpected damage over time with a potency of 50 for 30 seconds, so that is 550 total potency over 30 seconds? And it is a standard recast with 400 MP cost. Alright, next on the list we have number 15, Sharpened Knife. At this point, Tonberry's predilection for sharpened knives is well known. By manipulating ether to harness feelings of resentment, one hones a keener blade for driving into the heart of the enemy. Naturally, being beset by this attack while unable to move is a uniquely harrowing experience. It is a very quick recast on a GCD timer, 200 MP deals physical damage with a potency of 220, potency is increased to 450 if the target is stunned. Ooh, powerful in combination with something like Bomb Toss. Okay, next on the list is going to be number 25 and 26. 25, Snort. Typhon's signature technique produces gale force winds by propelling concentrated air through the nostrils. Though mages recreate the gust externally for the sake of nasal integrity, in addition to buffeting foes backwards, it appears to have a detrimental effect on its target's mental state. It is a standard recast with a 200 MP cost, deals a 20 yalm knockback to all enemies in a cone before us. Ooh! And we got 4 tons weight, employed to great effect by Ultros. This technique crushes adversaries beneath a phantom weight. Due to reticence in the scholastic community regarding certain forms of testing, whether the weight applied feels like that of 4-fold tons is a question that remains unanswered. Standard recast, 200 MP, drops a 4 tons weight, dealing physical damage at a designated location with a potency of 200 for the first enemy and 50% less for all remaining enemies. Also inflicts a 40% heavy debuff to enemies for 30 seconds, slowing down their movement by 40%. Next up, after Snort and 4 tons weight, we have Inkjet at number 37. Inkjet. Inkjet can be considered a more advanced form of water cannon, fitting as both come from courtesy of the Kraken. The spell infuses ethereally concentrated water with whatever impure substances are most readily available to create and expel a synthetic ink, blinding opponents. Standard recast, 400 MP cost, deals unexpected damage to all enemies in a cone before us with a potency of 200 for the first, and 50% less for all remaining enemies, also inflicts blind for 30 seconds. Next up, we have Fire Engon at number 38, in imitation of a martial technique passed down for generations by Mamulja tribes in the New World in Taral. This spell imbues a long-headed spear called an Engon, or rather an ethereal replica of the same, with fire-aspected ether and propels it across the field at enemy combatants. It is a standard GCD cast with a very quick cast time, 200 MP cost. Deals physical fire damage to target and all enemies nearby with a potency of 200 for the first and 50% less for all remaining. Alright. And that is all of the spells we learned but did not go over before, because for some reason they weren't marked as new. We also, while doing the Mass Carnival, learned a new spell, Condensed Libra. Invented by complete accident whilst the master mechanic attempted to manufacture an automaton that might monitor his lover's suspected illicit activities, and now a staple mechanism of mechanoscribes, Condensed Libra allows for the rapid analysis and amplification of a foe's weaknesses. Technically, you would normally learn this from a Heavensward dungeon, a very late Heavensward dungeon, but it is available in the Mass Carnival. Standard recast on a GCD timer, 200 MP cost, afflicts target with physical attenuation, astral attenuation, or umbral attenuation. I'm unsure how it determines, might be random. Physical attenuation increases damage taken from physical attacks by 5%. Astral attenuation increases damage taken from fire, wind, and lightning aspected attacks by 5%. And umbral attenuation increases damage taken from water, earth, and ice aspected attacks by 5%. Only one of these statuses can be applied to a target at a time. Alright then. It won't let me mark it off because my thing is full here. You know what? There we go. Now it is no longer marked as new. Now there are 2 more spells we can learn today. From Wallachie Totems. Totems hold Ether of Beasts from across Indigo Deep. They teach you blue magic without risk of being eaten. Ooh, we have 3 available. Oh, okay. First off, for completing 10 stages of the Mass Carnival, a very, very important spell, Moon Flute. We'll check that out in a minute. Next up, for completing 20 stages, another very useful spell, Doom! Doom is very good. And let me double check what gives us Revenge Blast real quick. Let's see. Revenge Blast is going to come from learning 50 spells. Okay, let me just mark these off real quick. We got Moon Flute. And we got Doom. Beautiful. Okay. Now then, let's learn them and take a look at what they actually do. We just got a level up from that too. Very funny. Huh. Okay, yeah, no, learning new spells gives us a nice batch of experience. Did not realize that, actually. Okay, looking at what these new spells do. Moonflute and Doom in particular are very, very good. So first off, Moonflute. This technique imitates a peculiar flute wrested from the grasp of a vanquished void scent. Said creature was initially welcomed as a god by those Turali peoples who worshipped the moon, but it soon became clear to them that the flute was the true source of its power and cruel authority. It is a standard recast with a 500 MP cost, grants the effect of Waxing Nocturne, increasing damage dealt by 50% and movement speed by 30%. Very powerful buff. Lasts for 15 seconds. When effect ends, the player is afflicted with Waning Nocturne, preventing the use of auto-attack weapon skills, spells, or abilities for 15 seconds. High risk, high reward type ability. Usually you want to use this as a finisher to help prepare for your finishing attack. Often used in combination with Final Sting. You'll use Off Guard, Bristle, Moon Flute, maybe one more ability, get yourself a whole bunch of buffs up, and then cast Final Sting to do just a fucking ton of damage. And as long as it kills the enemy, it counts as a win for you. You will still die, but it will count as a win for you. Next up, Doom, offcast by Voidsen in Thrall. This mortal curse merely hints at one's time may be nigh. For particularly suggestible opponents, however, this is enough. The looming specter of death will send them leaping to their graves. Standard recast inflicts Doom on target for 15 seconds. When effect expires, the target will be KO'd. Chance of successful attack is low, has no effect on enemies whose level is higher than your own. Very, very useful. It is highly recommended that you use this ability to help you learn Diamondback from Kukafera. Next up, Revenge Blast. The Wallachie are generally willing to pass on this close quarter technique, which allows the mage to harness his own feelings of desperation at being driven closer to death and launch a last-ditch offensive. The name of the creature who originally possessed it, however, remains a closely guarded secret. It is a standard cast, 200 MP cost, and deals physical damage with a potency of 50. Potency is increased to 500 when your HP is below 20%. Ooh, High risk, high reward ability. Interesting. You would need to cast that and then rapidly use Swift Cast White Wind, White Wind, White Wind. Actually, 2 White Winds should be able to get you up to 80%. You might be safe from there. Alright, that puts us at 53 spells out of the 49 available in A Realm Reborn, which we have all of. And 80 available through Stormblood. Sorry, not Stormblood, Heavensward. And we even have one that's available from the Stormblood set. Okay then. This last challenge against Azulmagia, Azulmagia, is going to be difficult. So I am going to practice, and I'm going to do this with post commentary so I can focus on the fight. Wish me the best of luck, because there is also, like a few of the Mask Carnivale challenges before, an achievement! Wish me luck! Alright, time for Azulmagia. Dirty, Rotten Azulmagia. 3x to this one, and actually surprisingly difficult. Alright, so phase 1, Azulmagia is going to use Ice Spikes, which is going to make any physical damage reflect back at us. We can only use magic attacks against Azulmagia in this first phase. His mechanics, or his attacks are going to be effectively Blue Mage spells, but more powerful than we have. Ram's Voice is going to be bigger than us. What we have, Dragon's Voice, is going to be bigger than what we have. And he has a very consistent rotation. He goes Apocalyptic Bolt, which is just a line AoE, into Apocalyptic Bolt. After a little bit, he uses Ram's Voice followed by Dragon's Voice. And is there anything else to worry about in this first phase? No, I think that's all of his mechanics, actually, for the first phase. It will get a little bit more complicated in the next phase, and then much more complicated in the final phase. So this is effectively warm-up. Oh yes, he also has Plane Cracker. Nice big circle AoE, which turns into 2 giant donuts. And then he follows it up with Apocalyptic Roar, which is a cone. Yeah, fun. He gets the better spells, of course he does. I mean, he is apparently naturally gifted with blue magic. Asshole. Alright, but yeah, no, he's fairly simple. He's got a fairly consistent rotation that gets a little bit more complex when he adds that last thing. But we're probably only going to see it once in this first phase. Plane Cracker can definitely be dangerous though, so... Oh, I guess he's using it a second time. I guess I'd say once the fight's gone on long enough, he'll add in Plane Cracker. Act 2 adds one new ability and changes one mechanic. This time he uses Repelling Spray, which means we can only use physical damage against him this time. He will also in a moment use Blazing Angon. Thank you, that's what it is. We need to kill that ASAP or it will start doing damage to us. Now, what really makes this fight difficult is the achievement attached to it. There's an achievement! To get the achievement, we need to do several things. 1, we need to use all 6 elements of magic: fire, water, earth, wind, ice, lightning. We need to use all 3 types of physical damage, that is blunt, piercing, and slashing. And we need to not take damage even once. And we need to not use a single spell that has a potential for healing us. Some spells will have healing as a side effect. If we can meet all 4 of those conditions, we will get the achievement. Act 3 is where this gets really tough, but you gotta play perfectly. Thankfully I have drill cannons when he forces me away with Ram's Voice, but honestly, Act 2 is the easier of the... Oh, right, we also need to beat him fast enough. We need to beat him under his ideal time, which is, I think 7 minutes? 7 minutes is the time limit? Alright, this last phase, in order to get the achievement, we're gonna cheese it. We're gonna use Final Sting with several buffs in order to get through as quickly as possible once his health is low enough. In the meantime, he starts off by using Repelling Spray, so we can only use physical attacks against him. About halfway through this phase, he will use Ice Spikes instead to switch to only magic damage can hurt him. And what else do we need to worry about? Oh yes, about halfway through this phase, he's going to use a series of horrifying mechanics. Charybdis from Behemoth, a giant fucking meteor that we can dodge if we position him correctly with Loom. Use Loom to dodge the actual attack. But we're gonna try and, about the time he summons Charybdis, that's when we want to use Final Sting in order to kill him and get the achievement and be free. If we let that go on for longer, this would have become really ugly. Trust me, this is the better option. Cheesing it. Anyways, let's finish. Alright, I am back. I had to clear it twice because the first time I took damage at the last possible second, panicked, decided, you know what, let's see how well Final Sting does, and hey, it worked! So then it just took a few more attempts to do it without taking damage at the end. It is bullshit that it seems like, I could be wrong, I could have just missed an attack that I was taking, but it seems like Off Guard actually does reflect and do damage to us during his reflect magic phases, which on the one hand, Off Guard is a spell, so fair enough. On the other hand, fuck you, it doesn't do damage. It just makes other attacks do damage. Do more damage. Fuck you, Azulmagia. Anyways, we did it! We got the achievement too, hell yeah. You did it! Wastrak was more powerful than I could have imagined, but you beat him. We sure did, somehow. Do you have any rewards for us? I doubt it, but... already read that? Yeah, nothing new. I figured as much. Hello, Madeline Latulja. Good news. We beat Wastrak. Latulja has an expression of overwhelming joy on his face, or at least you think... Really? And we get the Blue Mage Glamour Gear Azulmagia. Satora beat Azulmagia! Latulja cannot believe it. I mean, I can believe it, because Latulja always believed in you. Anyways, well done. I cannot thank you enough. Lapis Canyon is safe. Nicely done, Satora! That sack of Gubu shite won't be bothering the Wallachie anymore. Spectacular, stupendous, the performance of a lifetime. I never knew you had it in you, Satora. Of course, I haven't forgotten about our agreement. As of today, I'll be withdrawing my funding from the Cerulean Mine project. Fools, you think you have defeated me? This place will be your burial ground. Ha! I tricked you for a moment there, didn't I? I must admit I had grown rather accustomed to playing the villain. You're not playing the villain, you literally are the villain, sir. But enough is enough. The fact is, I lost our wager, so it's time I put an end to my plans for Lapis Canyon. I'm a businessman, not a monster, and I have you, Ciata, and Martin to thank for reminding me of that. Tural is a vast fuck you. And there are bound to be ways to acquire ceruleum without mining on sacred ground. Royce has even agreed to fund my next expedition. Oh god. I'll be leaving my ship within the next few days. Ciata, would you care to join me? With you as my guide, perhaps I can avoid repeating the mistakes I made with the Wallachie. That is a lot more reasonable, actually. Actually asking someone from the area to help you out in figuring out where you can ethically do this. I still fucking hate you, though. You're serious, aren't you? I accept your offer, if only so that I can keep you away from our land. Actually, I've heard of several places similar to Lapis Canyon to which no one has laid claim. Good. Then you and I have much to discuss. But first I must prepare for the voyage. There is much to be done. I'll never forget you, Satora. If you ever have a chance to cross the Indigo Deep, you'll always be welcome to stay with the Wallachie. I hope to see you again someday, Ciata. Hold your chocobos! As Azuro II, there's no time to go gallivanting around Tural. You've got crowds to please, beasts at best. Not to mention money to earn. Don't go away now, darling. Yeah, you're not gonna keep me around for that much longer. Though weekly Mass Carnival is a great way to earn hunt seals, so you can get free teleports. I go through all the trouble of getting better and squeezing back into my costume, but it looks like you're her favorite now. Bloody charming, that is. Mind you, the epidemic's over, so I don't need to dance to her tune anymore. So why is Martin so dressed as the Great Azuro? Well, there's no harm in earning a few gil while I think about my next move, is there? Latoulja, say Martin just like attention. Yeah. Yeah, he likes the attention. Alright, well this is gonna be an easy quest. Alright, Martin, it has been good working with you. Glad to see you're not as big of a piece of shit as I initially thought. And glad we were able to protect the Wallachi's home. Something's occurred to me. All this business with the Great Azuro and Azuro II's got everyone talking about blue magic. Those stuffy old bookworms in the Arcanist Guild never listened to me before, but this ought to make them take notice. In fact, I'm thinking about opening a Blue Mages Guild, partly as a way of rubbing my old guildmates' noses in it for rejecting my research, but also to help spread the knowledge across Eorzea. Okay, I do want to double check. You got permission from the Wallachie for this, right? I mean, Sienna didn't seem to object, so I'm going to assume yes. But there were more urgent matters happening, so maybe Sia just didn't cross Sienna's mind. And obviously there's all the other Wallachie back in Tyrol to talk to. Like, this... Is this an open culture thing, or a closed culture thing is what I'm worried about? I'll need a fair bit of gil to get the idea off the ground, though. All the more reason to carry on as a Great Azuro. I'll show them that not even being half eaten by some beast can keep me down. Of course, there's room in Celestium for the both of us. After all, I wouldn't deny my favorite and only apprentice a chance at fame and glory. Alright, well again, it's been good working with you, Martin. Not the best written questline. Definitely some fucking issues. But also tries to address those same issues. So, it's not completely bad, but it's still issues. I've been told it gets better. And judging from the writing in Dawn Trail, it seems I would believe that. I would believe that it gets better. In order to undertake the next Blue Mage quest, we must first meet the following requirements. We must have completed the main scenario quest, Litany of Peace. That is so far away. That means we need to finish patch 3.3. We need to not just beat Heavensward, but 3 main story patches after Heavensward. Thankfully, that's not quite to the next expansion, so... But still, it's going to be about a year and a half, maybe a little bit more, before we get to more Blue Mage. It's gonna be a while. Once we have done so, the next Blue Mage quest will be available from Martin. Well then. Blue Mage is fun. It has issues, but it's a fun gimmicky, like in the story it has some issues, but it is a fun gimmicky job and I really like it. Though some of those achievements can be rather frustrating. So, Blue Mage, we will see you again someday. For now, next time on Final Fantasy XIV, what are we doing? The hardest quest in the entirety of Final Fantasy XIV. Yeah, that sounds about right. I'll see everyone next time for a Feast of Famine.